Hey there, my name is Anthony Romano, and this video is going to quickly tell you the two-step process to building muscle on a ketogenic diet. So, KetoGains, right? It's a common topic thrown out. There's a lot more people interested in keto bodybuilding. Now, I will go on a limb and say I am a huge fan of keto bodybuilding. I've been doing it for 8 years, okay? There's been times mostly where I'm keto cutting, but I have done plenty of keto bulking, and I found that I've gained muscle even when I'm keto cutting, if you want to call it that. Now, what are the main keys here? What are the two main keys? Okay, I'm going to tell you the two main steps, but first I just want to say that building muscle on keto is totally possible, and a lot of people don't give it as much credit because they don't feel like they don't give it a chance mentally, because if you think about it, you know, people associate keto with cutting, right? And also it's harder to eat shitloads of food on keto, and most people associate bulking, building muscle, with shitloads of food. Now, misconception number one I want to smash is that you need to have shitloads of food. You don't need to have shitloads of food to build muscle. Okay, and I'm saying that phrasing, shitloads of food, because I want to burn this into your brain. What you actually need is a positive nitrogen balance, okay? Positive nitrogen balance. What does that mean? That means more protein being used than being excreted, okay? Nitrogen is just the marker they use to measure protein. So that's actually number one. Step number one of building muscle on keto is a positive nitrogen balance. It happens to be the step number one of building muscle on any diet, but why is it that people say you have to have high calories? Now, high calories helps, especially because you can slam an insulin response, which is an anabolic hormone, by eating more food, particularly more protein, but even more than protein by more carbs. Carbs can provide an insulin spike, which can be beneficial for building muscle, but you can get the same amounts by just eating more protein, and which will also play into this sort of positive nitrogen balance. Now, you don't want to have endless amounts of protein because you need energy to digest protein in your liver. And you also don't want to overshoot protein because that can lead to a negative nitrogen balance. But hitting around, 0.8 to 2 pounds grams per pound of body weight, typically around 0.8 to 1.5 really is a better estimate, with an adequate amount of energy, right? Fat with it, or calories in general, but more so fat, will allow you to be in a positive nitrogen balance. So why is it that calories don't necessarily work? Because if you have high calories, as a byproduct of that, you'll normally have high amounts of protein. And even if you didn't have enough protein that day, you probably had a shitload of calories. So what that will do is it will jack up your insulin. And if you had a load of carbs too, a shitload, by that means, you will probably store some as fat. Okay, overabundance of insulin will make you store fat. Overabundance compared to what you're able to handle, sensitivity-wise. So people will still see the scale go up. Okay, and before it gets to the last step here, I will say that with a keto bulk, I have always noticed that my body fat simply does not go up as quickly as it does on carb bulks, okay? Now, there are ways to carb bulk lean. I'm not, throwing carb bulks under the radar or under the bus here. But I do believe they are inferior, and I personally don't carb bulk anymore. I carb backload, and I'll do little bits of carb inclusion, here and there. But keto resets your sensitivity and your desire for carbs. So it's a great way to start off with a cut first and then go into a keto bulk, especially because you need to be adapted before you can keto bulk. But step number one, positive nitrogen balance. And step number two, train. But train hard enough. How do you train hard enough? The way you train hard enough is by building up lactate in your muscles, okay? Lactic acid. I will explain this in a moment, but it primarily comes down to time under tension and progressive strength increase, progressive overload, okay? But where I was going before, I dropped the last tip here, okay? When it comes to overdoing calories and insulin, okay? Normally, the reason why people don't, even experiment with muscle building on keto is because since you're not adding much body fat, you don't see the scale go up as quickly, and muscles don't gain as much, volume. Not necessarily muscle, but they don't get as much volume when you see yourself growing. So when you see that scale going up, you don't see the water retention that carbs will cause. You don't see the fat gain that carbs, or not necessarily carbs, but high calories and junk food might cause, right? When people are doing these dirty bulks, you simply do not see a total arm gain size as, as much, but you see more muscle definition, and you see more strength increasing steadily, and you also see better ability to perform more reps and higher lactate threshold, which I'll get into in a moment. But the thing is, you see the results just as quickly, but you don't see the sort of smoke and mirrors that comes with the results, okay? Which is actually great because I'm currently reading a book. Stay there, don't move. You don't see the smoke and mirrors, okay? This is a great book, Muscle, Smoke and Mirrors, recommended to me by Carlos, aka Golden Era Bookworm. Maybe you've seen some of our videos together. But thanks for the recommendation there, Carlos. But you don't see the smoke and mirrors that come along with progress when you are using a keto bulk method. And funny enough, the Golden Era bodybuilders that are frequently mentioned in this book, okay? It's a huge ass book, okay? Huge freaking book. This book is basically like, a history of all physical culture, and particularly a nutritional, deep dive into what people, ever since right up until the point of steroids being created, what they ate, what their nutrition looked like, from somebody who is very, very highly skilled at discerning and, parsing out what nutritional benefits they'll receive from certain foods. Example, spoiler alert, even like organ meats and stuff, okay? Which are very well known for their high nutrient density. Even forward by Mauro Di Pasquale. It's by Randy Roach, but forward by Mauro Di Pasquale, who wrote a great book called The Anabolic Diet, way before I was born. Well, not way before, I was probably like right around when I was born. But 2-step process to building muscle on keto. Train, positive nitrogen balance, and then, I guess the caveat is be in keto state. You can probably bounce out of it here and there, have some carb, enjoy your life, do some carb backloading. If you really want to have a fun time, watch my video on that one. But that's the main premise of building muscle on a keto bulk. And funny enough, like I said, that happens to mimic the diet that many of the Golden Era bodybuilders would do, okay? Especially from the ones who were under Vince Gironda, who basically trained all of the Golden Era bodybuilders that we know about. Arnold, Frank Zane, all those guys, okay? They all trained under Vince at some point. And for Arnold, that was literally the first place they brought him. But, if you want to learn more about that, watch some of Golden Era Bookworm's videos. Him and I are going to be putting out other videos soon. But essentially, watch my other videos because I'm going to be making some on how Golden Era bodybuilders actually use some of these methods. I have some out already. But funny enough, what these guys were eating, they were eating a lot of dairy and red meat, stuff like this, which I'm not opposed to. I have plenty myself, and if you're worried about the health concerns, watch my videos on them, because if you're getting it from a good quality source, there's not much to worry about. There's only benefits to gain. But essentially, these guys were eating cottage cheese in the morning. They weren't eating oatmeal. They weren't eating cream of wheat and rice, even though I like cream of wheat. Even though I liked cream of wheat as a kid, I'd have it for breakfast sometimes. Actually, I'd have eggs a lot for breakfast, but then there was a phase of cream of wheat. But essentially, they weren't having the whole bodybuilder chicken and rice BS that we see nowadays. They were having red meat, a shitload of eggs. There was actually Vince Gironda's 36 egg a day diet, which I have videos on because I personally believe in a lot of the nutritional benefits of consuming eggs, especially high quality eggs. But finish my point on step number 2 and building up that lactate threshold. The way you do this is by continuous training. You have to continuously hit a strength goal, because muscle is a byproduct of strength. You can't gain without, increasing strength on a macro level, on a grand scale. Okay, it doesn't mean week to week, but simply maximum strength going up. And you also have high burnout afterwards, building up that lactic acid in the muscle, because here's a key difference that I remember reading from the Ketogenic Diet by Lyle McDonald, right? Basically the Bible of keto dieting, up until I write, the New Testament a little bit. Essentially, that book, there's one point referenced in one of the studies where it claims that the main difference, like functionally, between powerlifters and bodybuilders is powerlifters do more strength-oriented tasks, bodybuilders do more lactic acid, lactate stressing tasks. And muscle size growing appears to be, a combination of the both in some way or another, but we know that lactate buildup leads to more muscle build mass rather than simply, strength. Strength is not necessarily fully a byproduct, or muscle's not fully a byproduct of strength, but it has to occur. And from there, you have to build up the lactic acid. and muscle size will grow in order to accommodate, more lactic acid being built into the muscle. That's simply what's going to happen, because your body doesn't want to change. You have to force it, and the way you force it is by putting evolutionary pressure on your body. You have to change, your circumstances, so your muscles, like your arm, literally thinks, we have way more lactic acid here than we normally do. We have to accommodate and grow to fix this, right? Simply doing a 1 rep max and increasing it isn't going to produce as much lactate, but it will tear the muscle fibers. You need a bit of both. Okay, so that's it for this one. That is the 2-step process to KetoGains. Okay, and that was an oversimplification, of course, but those are the only 2 requirements you technically need. There's a lot of other, fine details and tweaks you can add, especially ones for practicality and performance, like electrolytes, all these other things. But those are not core fundamental components of what you need to succeed. But if you do need some extra help succeeding, go to my website, romanoketo.com, and I offer full one-on-one coaching. I'm there 24/7. I also have consulting where I can, speak with you one-on-one privately for at least an hour and set you up with an action plan, stay in touch, email correspondence afterwards. And also, I'm offering group coaching. You can enroll on my website, and I'm also offering free videos which you can keep watching. Okay, but I'd highly recommend you go to my website, and if you're watching up to this point, click subscribe, click like, go to my Instagram, and that's it. Thank you very much, and that's it. Peace.